Today I will be presenting on our recent work of digital friendly current source and ring oscillator breadpath based integrated local negative feedback and global switched mode control as power and EM side channel attack countermeasure of an AES-256 encryption engine. This work has been done in collaboration with Intel Labs. I am Urchisman. Currently, I am a PhD student at Purdue University. Before joining Purdue University, I was working in Samsung Semiconductor India R&D for 2 years after my undergrad from Jadavpur University, India. My current research interests are hardware security and mixed signal IC design. This is the outline of my presentation. I will briefly cover motivation, existing state of the art before discussing about our key circuit techniques. Finally, I will discuss our measurement results before concluding the presentation. Mathematically secured cryptographic algorithm when implemented in silicon leaks critical information using side channels. By side channel I meant electromagnetic radiation, power consumption, timing, cache hits and misses, etc. However, for this work we will mainly focus on EM radiation and power consumption. Recently it is shown that AES-256 key can be easily sniffed in less than 5 minutes from even a meter distance without knowing details of AES-256 implementation or PCB implementation. Hence, EM side channel attack is more dangerous to silicon. This is how a side channel attack setup looks like. First, we need to collect EM or power traces using an oscilloscope. Ciphertext is anyway publicly available, and for all possible key bytes we can easily make Hamming distance model. Now the measured traces should be correlated with Hamming distance model. Finally, we have to select the key byte with maximum correlation coefficient. It is observed that after some number of traces, correct key byte comes out. Now I will be discussing on existing state of the art. Recently, side channel defense community has improved a lot. Current domain signature attenuation circuit has reached 1 billion minimum traces to disclosure for the first time in last year's ISSCC. Another circuit, which is basically cascade of two countermeasures, namely digital nonlinear LDO and arithmetic countermeasures, have achieved similar fate too in this year's VLSI. However, both the solutions have few drawbacks. Being an analog solution, CDSA is very difficult to scale over technology nodes. On the other hand, arithmetic countermeasures are very much specific to algorithm. LDO has higher power overhead and also it takes similar area of an encryption engine itself. However, our solution addresses both the problems. This solution for the first time brings the benefit of analog signature attenuation countermeasure into a synthesizable friendly one, and for the first time it achieves 1.25 billion minimum traces to disclosure, which is 25% greater than existing state of the art. Now I will be discussing about our key circuit design technique. Current domain signature attenuation circuit of last year's ISSCC has shown that using high impedance current source can help attenuating meaningful leakages. By this way, minimum traces to disclosure can be increased. We are using similar technique. However, the main difference is our current source is completely synthesizable. Our second technique is switch capacitor based time varying transfer function. Switch capacitor based countermeasure has been initially proposed by Samir et al. A different version has been implemented in ISSCC 9 by Tokunaga et al. In this solution, three-phase switch capacitor has been used. At first phase, one capacitor was getting charged from VDD. At second phase, it was charging one AES encryption engine. At the third phase, it was connected to an AC ground. In this way, it was bypassing key-dependent leakage to ground. This way, minimum traces to disclosure was increasing for this circuit. Three switch capacitors have been used to continuously run the encryption engine. However, it has one drawback. It uses current equalizer, which is basically an analog block, hence it is not easily scalable over technology nodes. Our goal is to make the entire design synthesizable. Hence, we are using switch capacitor based circuit in a different way. We have 16 unit capacitors. At one point of time, one capacitor gets charged from VDD. At that point of time, another capacitor was charging AES, but in that point of time, other 14 capacitors are at rest. At different point of time, from those resting capacitor pool, different capacitors have been chosen for getting charged from VDD and for charging AES. This selection process has been made by an intelligent circuit to create time domain obfuscation for further security of our circuit. Now I will be discussing about our key circuit design technique in more detail. As I have discussed earlier, a current source can be used to attenuate signature from VAES node to external VDD node. However, we have to make sure that average crypto current flows through current source to supply AES 256 encryption engine. Based on different encryption, current drawn by encryption engine changes little bit. This delta amount of current should be bypassed to ground to mask key dependent leakage. Ring oscillator has been used for that. The reason behind choosing ring oscillator is it can be synthesized easily using commercial tools. Also, we have multiple number of ring oscillator. By randomly turning on and off them, we can inject noise in VAES node, which helps countermeasure. On the other hand, by counting the oscillation of ring oscillator, we can get an estimate of VAES node. After that, a global SMC loop has been used to count the oscillation and take a decision to turn on number of current source slices. By this way, we can control the voltage of VAES node. Thus, ring oscillator acts as an input of global feedback for PVT tolerance. Note that this delta current amount is very less with respect to crypto average current. Maximum current through ring oscillator doesn't reach more than 8%, whereas maximum current through C load bypass path doesn't reach more than 5% anywhere. Now I will be discussing our key components in more detail. As I have discussed earlier, in ISSCC 2020, analog cascaded current source has been used. In our design, we are using synthesis friendly current source. VAES node can be controlled using our global feedback. VDD node is anyway available from outside, so we have to create an in-between voltage between 0 to VDD to bias the stacked PMOS to create the current source. We are achieving this by connecting output of a NOT gate to its input. Also, we have power gate switches to connect this bias voltage to PMOS slices inputs, and this is controlled by the output of global switch mode controller. Ring oscillator is another important component of our circuit. Basically, we need one negative feedback to bypass key dependent leakages. In ISSCC 2020, 8 biased PMOS has been used for this work. However, as our design is completely synthesizable, hence we are using ring oscillator for this. And through simulation, we have seen that ring oscillator can do similar work while leaking current. Basically, when voltage of AES node increases, current through bleed path, which is current through ring oscillator, increases according to cube of voltage of AES. By this way, bleed path current increases and VAES voltage stabilizes to a constant. Ring oscillator has another important property. Its frequency is reflection of its voltage. So basically, by counting number of oscillations of ring oscillator, we can get an estimation of voltage of AES node. Using this property, we can integrate local negative feedback to global feedback. Hence, if frequency of ring oscillator goes beyond the predefined bound by user, SMC loop is engaged and current source slices are activated or deactivated as required. By this way, controlling current source slices, we can control voltage of AES node. Ring oscillator has some other duties too. Ring oscillator bleed slices can be turned on randomly to inject noise at VAES node, which help our countermeasures. Clearly, ring oscillator is one of the most important component of our design. However, based on ring oscillator frequency, the next block, which is global switched mode controller, works. It uses asynchronous counter to count ring oscillator frequency. So if ring oscillator frequency is more, basically it will end up being a power hungry block. Hence we need to optimize number of stages of ring oscillator. But if we increase number of stages a lot, then it will take lot of area. Hence we need to find out one optimum point for it. We have done simulation and we have seen that 41 stages of ring oscillator is the optimum from area and power point of view. Switch mode controller is used as global feedback. Basically, ring oscillator output is counted by an asynchronous counter, but before that we use frequency divider so that asynchronous counter takes less power. Based on the RO frequency count, a decision circuit takes decision to turn on or off number of current source slices. A sample waveform is presented here. Frequency divided RO output is counted by asynchronous counter. We can see the counted value in RO frequency count. If it is beyond the upper limit, decision circuit will take decision and will reduce number of enabled current source slices. Here, if you see, ring oscillator frequency count is more than upper limit. Hence, current source are getting turned off until and unless it comes within the lower limit and upper limit value. SMC loop is active at the startup of the circuit. As you see, until and unless VAES voltage comes within a guard band of lower limit and upper limit, it engages itself. After that, whenever AES voltage comes within this guard band, it is disengaged. A switch cap based time varying transfer function has been implemented to create time domain obfuscation for extra security. 16 switched capacitor and a TVTF controller has been used for this. TVTF controller is a very lightweight circuit. It has two memory, one LFSR for creating randomization and two decoder. Two memories keep track of two set of capacitors, namely charging capacitors and discharging capacitors. By randomly selecting addresses of the memories, we are basically randomly selecting the capacitors for charging and discharging. After charging or discharging is done, capacitors swap place between the memories. We have all the three modes in our chip. Mode 1 is unprotected AES-256, Mode 2 is DSAC AES-256, which is the single strategy for current domain signature attenuation digitally, and Mode 3 is DSAC TVTF AES-256, which is the final strategy. By changing few switches, we can configure our chip accordingly. Now I will be discussing our measurement results. Here is our die micrograph and PCB for test chip. 1 ohm resistors for power SCA and wire bonded die is clearly visible in PCB image. Note that for unprotected we have implemented parallel AES implementation. It takes about 0.83 picojoule energy per bit computation. Also note that area overhead is calculated by extra capacitor along with circuit overhead with respect to unprotected AES and decoupling capacitor. This is our test setup. Power trace has been collected by a 5 GSPS oscilloscope. Collected traces has been sent to a PC for further processing. The PC using a DAC card sends input to the chip. AWG has been used for clock and enable signal. A DC voltage source has been used for powering up the circuit. For EM trace collection, one 10 mm H probe is used. Collected trace is then amplified by a 40 dB amplifier before fed to oscilloscope based setup. At the right hand side, we have time domain waveform for unprotected AES and DSAC TVTF AES-256. Now question might come, why we have used 10 mm H probe instead of smaller H probes for EMSCA attack? We have done thorough analysis. We have used 10 mm H probe for collecting traces first. Induced voltage traces is seen in the slide. Clearly 14 cycles of AES encryption engine is visible. Then we have correlated the collected trace with power trace. We have seen correlation value of 0.1069 for 10 mm H probe. Now we have done similar analysis for a smaller H probe too. We have used 100 micrometer H probe for this. But as you can see, encryption cycles are not clearly visible even after 10 x 10 grid search over the chip and taking the best position over the chip. Also, we can see 3x lesser correlation value with respect to power trace for 100 micrometer H probe. Another important point to consider is disk space issue. We are collecting traces and per trace we are capturing about 800 samples. Our oscilloscope resolution is 10 bit, hence for storing 1.25 billion traces requires 1.25 TB of disk space. Hence we are taking a different approach. We are dynamically and incrementally calculating correlational coefficient as new traces come in. For this we are using following formulas. CPA result is shown for all the modes in this slide. For unprotected AES, within 7K traces correct key byte comes out, whereas for DSAC AES-256 it takes about 820 million traces to reveal the correct key byte. But in frequency domain at center frequency of 200 MHz within 450 million traces correct key comes out for DSAC AES-256. However, for both in time domain and in frequency domain, correct key is not revealed for DSAC TVTF AES-256 until 1.25 billion traces. TVLA test has been done for extra assurance. Note that statistical t-value less than 4.5 implies absence of meaningful leakage. We have done statistical t-test for all the modes. T-value of 4.5 is achieved in 95,000x mode traces for DSAC with respect to unprotected AES-256. However, T-value of 4.5 is achieved in 290,000x mode traces for DSAC TVTF with respect to unprotected AES-256 in case of powered side channel. Similarly, correlational EM attack is done on all the modes. For unprotected AES implementation, correct byte is revealed within 9K traces, whereas for DSAC AES-256, correct byte is revealed after 248 million traces. For DSAC TVTF AES-256, for both time and frequency domain, no correct key byte is revealed until 1.25 billion traces. Similarly, TVLA test is done for EM side channel too. We have seen a t-value of 4.5 is achieved in 50,000x mode traces in case of DSAC with respect to unprotected. However, t-value of 4.5 is achieved in 70,000x mode traces for DSAC TVTF AES-256 with respect to unprotected implementation. TVLA test result is tabulated in this slide. We have seen about 100,000x to 300,000x increase in power trace for similar leakage with respect to unprotected implementation. Also, we have seen about 25,000x to 75,000x increase in EM traces for DSAC TVTF implementation for similar leakage with respect to unprotected counterpart. Our solution has reached 1.25 billion minimum traces to disclosure, which is 25% greater than existing state of the art. This is 178,000x more with respect to our unprotected counterpart in case of powered. On the other hand, in case of EM, we can see our solution gives 138,000x improvement over unprotected counterpart. In modern IoT devices, where area and power overhead is of utmost concern and we need medium security, we can use our DSAC implementation, which has lower overhead with respect to existing state of the art. Now I will conclude my presentation. We have provided power and EM side channel attack immunity using digital signature attenuation circuit along with time varying transfer function. For the first time, we have achieved 1.25 billion minimum traces to disclosure against both CPA and CMA attack, which is 25% improvement with respect to existing state of the art. Our solution is a low overhead one without any performance degradation. Moreover, our solution is generic. It can be extended to any crypto algorithm as a wrapper around it. Finally, we can say our solution is fully synthesizable. It is easily scalable over technology nodes. Thank you.